Meth, they'll scream and chase you.
Oh, you go to Salt Lake City, you're going to get chased.
Screaming and chasing.
They have
Yeah.
bad homeless?
Oh!
Salt Lake City's bad for homeless.
Every
The
single
methadone.
10 homeless guys chasing us.
Right.
Bad.
It's like, all right,
And then you got to bring
fucking
them young,
city
and
sucks.
it's like utopia.
Late November last year, as my beloved Cougars were preparing to play in the first Big 12 championship game in program history, Penn State was the college that had Provo's collective attention. News began to circulate that the Nittany Lions, already steeped in a media disaster head coach hiring process, had reached out to Coach Satake to be the next skipper for their sinking ship. While Cougar Nation was panicking, a reasonable panic considering the timing, I was sitting back wondering if Penn State taking Coach Satake might be the correct move for us in the long run. My opinion amidst the panic was that Penn State might not be poaching the best coach on our staff. A few months later, I was the one who was thrust into complete panic. Kyle Whittingham became the surprising late-season hire by the Michigan Wolverines, and Jay Hill decided to join the party in Ann Arbor. I was left feeling that Coach Whittingham might have been smarter than Cougar Nation, the Penn State administration, and the country as a whole. By my estimation, Coach Whittingham might have landed his last and most devastating blow against his longtime hated rival. The 2026 season preview can't start anywhere else besides the hiring away of Jay Hill, because the entire season hinges on whether or not he was the key to our success this entire time. You don't need to be reminded that BYU football's record over the last 2 years is 23-4, and you probably don't need to be reminded that the defensive coordinator over those 23 wins has been Jay Hill. What you do need to be reminded of is what our program looked like before Jay Hill became the head of our defense. Coach Tuiaki had just resigned after coaching a defense that allowed 30 points per game during the season, which peaked in one of the worst sequences I have ever witnessed in my fandom of BYU football. After being thumped by Arkansas, where they dropped 52 points, 644 yards, a 12 of 15 third down conversion rate, and absolutely no pressure on their QB the entire day, Tuiaki stood in front of Cougar Nation and said that he had wished he had dropped 8 defenders into coverage. Go and rewatch the game if you need to. KJ Jefferson could have picked daisies in that pocket. He could have filed his tax return. We could have clamped one of those old-timey iron prison balls to both of his ankles, and it wouldn't have made a difference. The BYU pass rush was non-existent. Long story short, Tuiaki left and Jay Hill stepped in and immediately changed how our defense was played. Not only did Jay Hill know the exact moment to dial up game-changing blitzes, he brought guys that could actually do it. Does the name Jack Kelly of the New York Giants ring any bells for you? How about Isaiah Glasker hurrying the quarterback? Our linebacker play was absolutely transformed by Coach Hill. I had faith that each game our defense was going to be opportunistic and efficient. I think that Jay Hill was a big reason that we didn't struggle with injuries and depth concerns the last 2 years. We weren't getting into games where we allowed teams to convert 12 third downs and keep the drives going. All this is to say that this season is going to be the measuring stick on whether or not Coach Satake has had the muscles of his resume juiced by the Jay Hill drug, or he has truly built a blue-chip program who will consistently play for a college football playoff spot. Coach Papinga has all of the resources to continue on what Jay Hill was able to accomplish the last 2 years. Our defense seems stacked, returning Bodie Schoonover, Keanu Tanuvasa, Siale Acera, Glasker, Evan Johnson, Theron Alexander, and last but not least, Satawala. And on top of all those names, we have the coveted transfer linebacker in Cade Olave. There should be no excuse for a defensive drop-off. With all that being said, you'll probably be surprised to hear that I think BYU will only be a one-loss team this year, and it's not who you expect. Let's dive into the schedule. Utah Tech. One phrase sums up what we need to see in the opening day: deja vu. If the Cougs can do a repeat job of what they did against Portland State last year, I will be able to rest easy. A similar play to Jack Kelly's kick block return would be fantastic as well. It's stating the obvious, but how much can you save for the annual FCS game? My score prediction, 49-0. Cougars win. Arizona. This game is the second most overlooked game on our schedule. People have been missing it all offseason. Arizona was an extremely challenging game for us last year. It took a Herculean effort from Bear, a huge comeback, and some breaks to go our way to put the Wildcats away. Brett Brennan is a good coach. Noah Fafita is a good quarterback. But Lavelle Edwards Stadium is better, and I'm counting on that to be the difference maker this year. My score prediction, 30-20. Cougars win. Colorado State. A little bit of a pesky game is how I estimate this. I believe that it'll be one of those games where our offense starts a little slow, maybe 2 stalled out drives in a row, or maybe settling for a field goal once, and then we pick up steam. The Rams are going to want to run the ball. QB House Henji is an athlete, and they will have a handful of good backs. I like this as a good pretest for our defense. My score prediction, 41-13. Cougars win. TCU. The second game of a back-to-back road trip will certainly be a test for the Cougs. TCU has been labeled as everyone's dark horse team of the conference, but I don't really buy it. I think traveling to Ireland is going to have a very negative effect to start their season, and I think that them coming back from a trip to Florida is going to put them in a bad spot. I think BYU lights a fire under the Sonny Dykes hot seat. My score prediction, 27-10, Cougars win. Iowa State. This is going to be a drubbing. Iowa State lost maybe their best coach of all time, all of their players, and they have to come to Lavelle. We are going to absolutely spank them. The extent of the blowout is not going to be the most important storyline I am watching, however. The game is going to show me the level of seriousness and learning that our coaching staff has taken upon themselves to change our postseason fortunes. Iowa State is not going to beat us, but they can harm us. I believe that we need to take a clue from the analytical sports and implement some load management into this game. We need to quickly take a lead and put our starters on the bench. The more time off and chance for our players to keep healthy, the better. We'll need all hands on deck for the next week's game. My score prediction, 56-17. Cougars win. Notre Dame. I've already made a video about how I believe wholeheartedly that we can beat Notre Dame, and I have not changed my mind. This game will come down completely to learning from the problems we suffered from last year against Texas Tech. No stupid turnovers and keeping our defense off the field as much as possible. These go hand in hand. If we don't turn the ball over, we reduce the play count where the Irish have the ball. I don't think Notre Dame is as good as people are predicting, and I think the combination of elevation at Lavelle Edwards Stadium as well as the crowd will be huge advantages towards us. Just please don't muff any more punts this year, special teams. My score prediction, 24-21. Cougs win. UCF. And now we have come to the most controversial prediction I have cooked up. Just 7 days after a win over a top 5 ranked team and the playoffs looking like a foregone conclusion for the Cougs, I think we will take a stunning loss to the Knights. All of the classic BYU factors are there. Notre Dame is a physical team, and I don't think anyone is going to be particularly healthy after the game. We have to travel across the country to Florida, and on top of all this, I think UCF is a sleeper team in the conference. Scott Frost led UCF to an undefeated season in his second year, the first time he coached at UCF. UCF has a sneaky good quarterback in Sun Belt Player of the Year, Alonzo Barnett, and I think UCF will have a spoiler on their minds going into this game. BYU historically loses letdown games like this all the time, and I hope that I'm wrong. This game will go a long way in showing me the strength of our program. My score prediction, 31-27. Cougars lose. Arizona State. Debatably, the best thing about a loss to UCF would be it completely refocusing the team. Arizona State will be a perfect get-right game coming off the loss. It's in Provo, and I think Arizona State will be bad. Kenny Dillingham is a Cam Scattaboo merchant, and this year will be another example of it. My score prediction, 38-10. Cougars win. Utah. The perennial most important game of the year. Unfortunately, we have to travel to the hellhole, which is Rice-Eccles Stadium, and attempt to keep our 3-game winning streak alive. The Holy War is just like real war. Bloody, heart-wrenching, and nail-biting. I don't expect this one to be any different. I don't have high expectations for the rebuilding Utes and predict that we will be the second loss on the record by the time that Saturday is finished. I think they don't have the athletes to match up with us and will still be sorting out life without some key players and their coach of 2 decades. My score prediction, 24-19. Cougs win. Baylor. DJ Lagway is a bum and Baylor doesn't know how to put together a full season. We win in Provo and our bear is cooler than theirs. My score prediction, 28-10. Cougars win. Kansas. The horrors of seeing Kansas as our second to last game. Having them in that spot of the schedule did not turn out good for us in 2024. I still think we pull out the win. My score prediction, 21-3. Cougs win. Cincinnati. Cincy having to come to Provo will be the death blow to their season. They are a team that is replacing every single skill position, and I don't expect them to have put it all together by the last week of the season. I hope we can get out of the contest uninjured, use the matchup as a tune-up for the Big 12 championship, and carry momentum into Jerry World. My score prediction, 31-17. As I looked back on the stepping down of Tuyaki for this video, I couldn't help but be overcome with the feeling that his Drop 8 speech might have been the first blinking red warning light on a rocket that wasn't going to get past the stratosphere. The red light blinked again when Coach Sataki answered a question on a podcast with seeming dissatisfaction with the resources he is given from BYU's administration. It's nothing against Coach Sataki. I completely understand how someone can look around at the landscape of college football and be pretty discouraged by how little you seem to have in comparison. But it was such a stark difference in response to questions when compared to Coach Cignetti at Indiana. All Coach Cignetti does is promise wins and deliver. Say what you want about Indiana's massive alumni base, membership in the Big Ten, and a host of other great advantages. That doesn't change the fact that they were the worst college football program of all time. They had no juice, no wins, and they weren't even putting half as many butts in seats that the Cougars do every year. But guess what? Coach said to hell with what is going on. I'm going to be the difference maker, and I know I can beat anyone who I'm up against. Kirk Cignetti doesn't ask for more resources publicly. He tells the college football world that the solution to facing the challenges of defending a title is bringing a bigger gun. And that is the underlying worry I have about Coach Sataki. He isn't a guy that even broaches thinking of himself and his program as a group of killers. For his entire career, he has made the safe decisions. He hires his friends. He hires coaches because of their hometown hero status. And he has too many family and friends that make decisions. I understand that life was much different when we were independents, but we are not independent anymore. We are a premier historical brand in college football, and we need to start thinking of ourselves that way. I hope that I am wrong about everything. Believe me, I hope that we go undefeated. I hope our defense looks better than it did last year, and I hope we win the national championship. I will do nothing but cheer if Coach Sataki leads us to uncharted postseason territory this year. I will be absolutely ecstatic. I'm just worried that without Jay Hill, instead of dialing up a blitz to shift momentum, we return to the mindset that we need to drop 8 back into coverage. Instead of replying, I win, Google me, we reply, we have to do the most with the least. We have a fantastic returning roster and an incredible schedule that can propel us into a playoff berth. Let's not look back at this season and wish that Penn State had made a better offer.